On December 19th, 1973, a 28-year-old Belgian man awoke in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. After using it, he began walking back to his bedroom through the kitchen when suddenly he spotted a green glow coming through the curtains. The half-asleep man decided to peer through the window, and what he saw next stunned him. In this episode, we will examine this strange, close encounter of the third kind, a case that has become to be known as the Vilvoorde encounter. Around 2 a.m. on December 19th, 1973, a Belgian man who used the pseudonym Mr. V spotted a greenish glow coming through the window and decided to investigate. As he looked through, he would be stunned to see a 3-foot-tall humanoid walking around his garden. It was carrying some sort of electronic device, like a metal detector, and scanning the ground. Initially, the entity had its back turned toward the man as Mr. V watched. The being's outfit consisted of a one-piece tight-fitted suit that emitted a greenish glow. It was wearing a transparent helmet, and a tube ran from the helmet to something on its back. Whatever was on its back was pretty big, covering the majority of it. The entity also had a red box on its abdomen area, although it's not clear what the purpose of it was. As Mr. V couldn't believe his eyes, he decided to shine his flashlight through the closed window to get a better look. The being saw the light and began turning around. Still, the alien didn't move fluidly, as it couldn't just turn around partly and had to turn around its whole body. Mr. V believed its neck was completely rigid. In general, the being seemed to have trouble walking and had a strange gait. As the entity turned around, Mr. V finally got to see the face. The eyes were yellow and almond-shaped, shining very brightly. He couldn't make out much in the face area, whether the being had a mouth or nose. It could have been the darkness covering it, or perhaps the being didn't have either. As it looked up at Mr. V, it began to raise its hand in response to the light. It lifted its hand and made a V signal with it. After this, it turned back around and began waddling toward the back wall of the garden, which was around 10 feet tall. What happened next would truly astonish Mr. V, though. The being placed 1 foot flat on the wall and began walking up it. The odd sight was truly unbelievable, as its gait stayed the same and the position of the metal detector device was the same on the wall. As it reached the top, it began descending down once again with its feet flat against the wall. Eventually, it was back on the ground, and although Mr. V couldn't see it directly, he could see the greenish glow moving. A few moments later, a white light appeared on the ground not too far away. Then a craft began to rise 20 to 30 feet off the ground and hovered in the same position for around 4 minutes. It was making a sound similar to crickets or insects. The object was around 15 feet in diameter. The top half was orange colored and had a dome emitting a greenish light. Mr. V was able to see the being in this dome. On the orange portion, there was a symbol that was a black circle with a yellow lightning bolt going through it. The bottom half of the craft had a deep purplish color and had 3 lights along the bottom. The lights were red, yellow, and blue and flashed together in unison. It then began rising, and the churring sound grew louder, and the craft rocked back and forth and then shot off into the sky, disappearing. The man then sat down in the kitchen in disbelief as far as what he had witnessed. He had something to eat, thinking about what had just happened, and soon went to bed. Other than the V-wave, the being hadn't tried to communicate with the man in any other way, such as telepathy. It's important to point out the man felt no fear during the experience and went to bed shortly after eating. The next day, the man would walk outside in the garden. He was quite surprised to see no evidence had been left behind by the being. There were no footprints in the garden, and everything appeared normal. So was this just a lucid dream, or did this man really see a green glowing alien scanning his backyard? It seems almost surely like a dream, and with no physical evidence left behind, there's certainly room to doubt this encounter. Still, it's important to note the man watched the being in craft for quite some time. In addition, he made a snack for himself while pondering what he had seen. That does add some support to his case. Skeptics will point out that people do all sorts of odd things, like sleepwalking, and more than likely, Mr. V had a very strange dream. While we'll never know for sure, the case is still a fascinating one.